Mr. Murali Krishna garu.
Yeah. Good evening, my young friends. In fact, it's good afternoon. After 6 only, I have to say good evening. Anyway, it's good evening. In the previous lecture, I tried to make you understand the concept of biodiversity, because here understanding the concept is more important than remaining memory-based things. Once you understand biodiversity, even by elimination method also, you will be able to solve some of the questions when you feel some kind of a difficulty while answering a question in the prelims. We took little longer time to understand biodiversity because I thought majority of you are non-science background students. Now today we will move little quickly because majority of the aspects which I am going to deal with are related to memory. Probably 3-4 times if you give a reading, you will be able to remember them, so that when a question comes in a direct fashion, you will be able to answer. In an indirect method also, if it comes, you will be able to eliminate wrong answers and you will arrive at a correct answer. Well, we stopped at measurement of biodiversity. Last time we understood biodiversity. Now how to measure biodiversity? Biodiversity means many species in an ecosystem, many species presence in the community is a biodiversity. Well, one really requires this number of species. If it is less number of species, what happens? Will there be a real effect on the human life or ecosystem if you have less number of species? Say in an ecosystem you have about 20,000 species. That means varieties of plants and animals. If it is reduced to 15,000, what happens? For this, there is no answer. One only understands that if you have more number of species, then the stability of the ecosystem is good. That means you have many more varieties of plants and animals in a particular area, a community. When you take the productivity of the community in terms of biomass production, every year when the number is more, such kind of communities, the biomass production over after year is almost stable. They haven't found much differences. But whereas a community which is having a less number of species, that means varieties, it varied a lot. A scientist has conducted experiments with outside plots. Their same concept he tried to analyze. He also found out that when you have more number of varieties in a community, your productivity is almost uniform every year. Such kind of a community is able to withstand any natural vagaries. Any disturbance is there in the ecosystem, such kind of a communities which is having more number of species has withstood that, resistant to that. And the third thing which they have seen is that any new species by accident or deliberately we introduced into the community, it is able to withstand that onslaught also. I will cite some of the examples here. If you have heard about Parthenium weed, it's a weed which weed itself is an unwanted thing. Very term of weed is called a plant which is unwanted is a weed. Such kind of a weed that grows very rampantly, they call it a Congress weed, they call it carrot weed. Many names are there, but it is imported from America. And then you will find rampantly in almost all open areas in India. The seed, when it is flowers, the flowering some kind of uh, ramification, some kind of a barb kind of things are there to the flower. When it explodes, it goes into the air. It now enters into the nose of the individuals and animals. It gives kind of an allergy, and it gives some kind of pneumonia kind of effects to the human beings. This is unwanted. Nobody has introduced it. It has come on its own by mistake, and no, it is eating away all areas. That means what is happening to the areas where already some plants were there. When this got there, it eradicated all other plants. It has become only single entity in the area, so it is able to grow rampantly, which is not required by the human beings. So that is called an invasion of a community by an alien species. A foreign species, it is growing, occupying everything, and then no, causing death to remaining species there. It is becoming native. All native species are exhausted, they are extinct. That is why, that is happening. When you have more number of species in a community, that kind of an effect can also be nullified. That means when you have more number of plants in a community, then that community is stable. This is only we can say. So here in measurement, you have two factors to consider. One is the richness of species. Richness of species means in a community, how many species are there? Whether they are one single species is dominant. There are 5 kinds of species in a community. Whether what is rich there, what is poor there, it is in terms of of number of plants of that species. Okay. This richness again is measured in 3 types. One is an alpha, second is a beta, third is a gamma. So species richness is categorized into alpha, beta, and gamma. Alpha richness means you take one single community, in that what is the number of species found in the community or ecosystem is alpha. It is not related to any other thing. It is not related to increase or decrease of the number. It is related to only how many number of species present in that community is an alpha richness. Second is a beta richness. Two communities, when you are comparing the number of species in community A and community B, the increase and decrease of the species inside communities A and B, the comparative growth of the species is beta richness. Third is a gamma richness. A particular ecosystem, it will have many areas. You may take any ecosystem. You may take a pond ecosystem, grassland ecosystem, desert ecosystem. Ecosystem is a vast area, whereas an area is a part of the ecosystem. When you take overall diversity of the ecosystem into consideration, this is called a gamma richness. Alpha, beta, gamma. I don't think you will get a question here. It is of some kind of relevance when you are moving to in a higher kind of it. If as an answer, one of the options of an answer is given in this, you will be able to eliminate it, or you will be able to select it based on the question. But on its own, I think alpha, beta, gamma richness, you will not be able to get a question, because formation of a question is difficult in this. I told you the measurement of diversity is by 2 methods. One is by its richness. Again, richness is divided into alpha, beta, and gamma richnesses. Second is evenness. Species evenness is the second way method by which we measure diversity. Evenness means, assume in an area there are four kinds of plants or animals. All are having equal incidence. Let us say each one is consuming about 20% based on their number. Each one is about 25 numbers are present. Suppose all put together are 100. There are four species. Each species has got about 20, 25. Then no, the evenness of each species is equal. That is about 20%. Well, any community which has got evenness, uniformity in evenness, that means that is a strong community. But an unevenness, if you are find in a community, you are going to understand only one particular species or two particular species are going to dominate the entire area, and remaining two species over a period of time you may not be able to find them. They may extinct. Slowly what is happening through unevenness, slowly what is happening, some of the species are going to die over a period of time, and now some are going to rise in number beyond an expectation. This is not good for any community. So measurement of diversity is by two methods. One is richness, second is evenness. We move to why this next aspect, biodiversity services. What are these services? That means what this biodiversity is giving to mankind, how it is useful. There are two three main categorization of uses of biodiversity. The uses of biodiversity are also called the services biodiversity is rendering to the mankind. Different terminologies are there, but there are two prominent way they categorize. They categorize it as ecosystem services, which are related to the benefits which the mankind is getting is based on the factors of the ecosystem. That means whether water cycle is getting disturbed or no, it is enriching the water cycle, or the soil is reclaimed or no, soil erosion, is it stopping a soil erosion, or because these many species are there, plants and animals. That's why when a flood is coming, because of the rich soil and then no, the growth of the flora and fauna, is it stopping the flow or it is absorbing it? What is it doing? So these are ecosystem services, biological services, and social services. There are three kinds of uses are there which are categorized into these three. I told you ecosystem services, they help maintain the water cycle. The rain is falling and then now it is to be absorbed by the soil. When soil is there, then water percolation is there inside and then groundwater increases. This, our any dense forest areas, any plantation, it stops, it absorbs, it makes the water percolates inside the groundwater zone, so that your water table, water cycle is being maintained. When a water is at a point, evaporation happens and then no, it forms the clouds, cloud again gives you rain. This is a water cycle. Your diverse forest climates are making water cycle stabilize, improve, and then increases the groundwater level. The second major contribution of these services is soil reclamation, soil erosion, and then no enriching the soil. What happens? These plants and various kinds of plants, be it shrubs, herbs, or no thorny plants, all these things, they bind the water soil particles to their roots, and they are present in the soil, so that soil around a plant will not move. A wind may cause soil erosion. Water continuous flow of water may cause soil erosion. But when a plant dense community is around, it is binding the soil to its roots. No factor can make the soil no move from that place. That's how the ecosystem is serving you to save the soil to that area. So soil conservation is there, soil erosion is stopped, and then no, so with the soil again, there are all plants, they shed leaves during one season. What happens to all leaves? Because these leaves again no, they disintegrate, and then no, they mix with the soil, and soil becomes enriched with the nutrients inside the leaves. When the nutrient cycle is recycled, soil becomes very rich. When you use that particular soil for any progressive purposes, plantation purposes, because it is very much enriched with the nutrients inside the soil shed by the leaves during a season, the soil nutrition is maintained, the cycle is maintained. And climate stability, whatever be the climate, the nature of the forest will not change like an open area. Open area, there won't be any direction to the water flow. Today, some soil is taken away by the water flow in this direction. It may happen in some other direction also. Tomorrow the flow is more, it may lead to another direction. There is nothing to protect, nothing to guide the water to move how, in what direction. But whereas in a forest ecosystem, everything is guided, because nothing is disturbed due to any calamities. And then there are many factors like the pollination, wherein now it causes the male to female, the transfer because of many birds, many insects, the pollination happens. And then now this pollination is going to help create more number of plants, more number of species, so that ecosystem is going to be dense. You can categorize those services into how the biodiversity is contributing to stability of the ecosystem. You can categorize, these are the points. The second is biological services. These are nothing but it's directly helping the mankind. Your food is coming there from there, your medicine is coming from there, wood is coming from there, and forest miner produce innumerable items produced by the plants are being utilized by the human being for their survival. And in a way, it is the life source for the human generation to thrive upon. You can call, you see, agriculture is giving you produce. Where from this agriculture? Originally, the entire land is belong to some kind of an ecosystem, some kind of a forest. Slowly, by removing forest, we have developed cultivable land. Water resources are developed subsequently. We are growing what crops are required for mankind. We started growing them. Otherwise, when the evolution process, in the beginning, entire land area was fully covered with vegetation. So, all products which are required by the human being are coming from the diverse ecosystems. This is the major reason where no human being is getting benefited. Then social services. You will conduct a research because a plantation is available, how it is helping. You can study climate change, You can conduct research on various factors and on the reclamation of soil because of the roots binding the soil, how soil can be reclaimed, what are the methods now we can suggest, and then no, a lot of cultural variation also you can find based on the vicinity of the mankind, where mankind are thriving in groups nearby. If a forest is available, forest is impacted by the culture of the human being because of the forest availability, and then no forest resources, human population near to that is also affected culturally there. So these are the three major important benefits of ecosystem, many benefits of biodiversity. You can call them as services, you can call them as benefits, whatever it is. What is happening? But what is happening for this biodiversity? The entire, now currently whatever you are seeing, the earth and these things, they are all evolved some 3 billion years were required to evolve the world now to this level. Now loss is happening. Loss of biodiversity is happening means all the plants which were there originally in nature, you are not finding nowadays. In the last 500 years, 784 species are different kinds. They are extinct. That means no, they are not there. Why this is happening? There are almost 30% of the original species in number, in species in number, and also total number of the flora and fauna, 30% is gone. Now another 50%, scientists expect in the next 100 years, you will not be seeing another 50% of the population currently what you are seeing today. This loss, what does this loss? Because you never know which insects helps you, which plant helps you, and then know which animal helps you in what level, in what food chain, what food web, or know what food pyramid. Once, because of this loss, biodiversity loss, if you are losing such kind of important species, probably the evolution stops at some place, the productivity of that particular aspect stops at a place, and human beings will be put to high disadvantage, particularly when useful species are getting lost in the process of in this loss process. Loss can happen in two ways. There are natural reasons, there are man-made reasons. And these fossil records say in these 3 billion years before the onset of the mankind, 5 times, at least 5 times, this loss would have occurred. This is the 6th time, the current days are the 6th time. They call it a 6th extinction. 6th extinction. This is 6th extinction. 5 times it already happened. This is the 6th time it is happening now. But the difference is 5 times the rate of loss was less, but whereas now the rate of loss is 100 to 1000 times. Current loss, rate of loss of species is 100 to 1000 times. 6th extinction is currently happening. This is called loss of biodiversity. This is reasons for this is both man-made and natural, but the rate is 100 to 1000 times compared to previous instances. Then natural causes are, for this loss of biodiversity, natural causes, floods can cause, and then there are earthquakes, landslides, and when a particular some of the useful intermediates are lost, I told you insects and birds, such things are lost. Automatically, the cross pollination between a male and female flowers, there is no messenger from male and female flowers, nobody to carry male flower to the female flower, so that fertilizations will not occur, species will not get multiplied, or new species will not come. These are all natural reasons which they themselves are occurring, and you cannot do much of it unless to preserve the current environment, biodiversity, the areas where you have all kinds of species, you cannot do anything beyond that. But what are the man-made reasons? Man-made reasons all happening, 90% of the loss is happening due to the man-made reasons. Man is converting the biodiverse ecosystems or dense forests into agricultural lands for production of food, production of various items. He is converting that land, he is felling all existing trees and all that. When trees are felled, the occupants of the trees, remaining ecosystem connected to the trees, that means it can be a bird, it can be an animal, it can be an insect, it can be a microorganism also. All around that is get disturbed. When it's not there, when plants are not there, open barren land will be there. From the barren land, since ecosystem is lost, it is a disturbance so that he can convert into an agricultural land. The Amazon rainforest is an example. Earlier, these kind of rainforests all over the world used to be 14%. Now, because of man-made activities, they have reduced to 6%, less than 6%. What is happening currently, even now also in Amazon rainforest, which is now centrally located, you call it a lung of the earth, lung of the world, lungs of the world, because it is producing 20% of the oxygen from air. It is giving oxygen to mankind. You see 20% of oxygen. Now, in current days, what is happening? You are now really hard pressed to get an oxygen cylinder. No, without a single pie, the forest is producing 20% of the world's oxygen requirement, and you are getting it free of cost. No, what more? Uh, how can you attach a value to this? Such kind of wonderful things are happening with the forest habitats. Amazon rainforest is being cut every year. Thousands of hectares are being cleared to cultivate soybean. Again, thousands of hectares are being cleared to breed beef cattle. For these two purposes, thousands and lakhs of hectares of tropical rainforest, which is the heart of biodiverse activities, is being converted into barren tracts. Your diversity is getting disturbed. The ecosystem is getting disturbed. This is called fragmentalization of the habitat. That means large habitat is putting into small habitats. Large area is cutting into pieces or is brought into pieces. Each piece, earlier in the whole system, you used to have one particular diverse factor. Now, because you are reducing it to too many smaller regions, it is causing, again, the nature of the biodiversity itself is getting lost. How means, I will give you one simple example. Whole of thousands of hectares is there from one area to other area because it is unhindered, attached as a single state. Bird can migrate 1,000 kilometers from one spot to the other spot. Suppose this is divided into small parts. A bird stops migrating because it knows there is no continuity. There is a disturbance. It will never take a risk when a disturbed ecosystem is disturbed. A barren area is there, a cultivable land is there, and it has to migrate. It will not do as frequently as it was doing earlier. Likewise, some of the animals, they used to prowl at their will and wish. Now you are fragmenting, you are reducing the area into tiny bits. Then the movement of wild animals will also get stopped. When a movement area, earlier the entire area wild animals were moving. Now because you are reduced into fragments, one area to other area, the movement is stopped. In one area only the movement is restricted. Second area movement is not there means the species you will find in one area, in the other area you are not finding the species. That means you have disturbed the original distribution of animals, plants, birds, whatever it is. That means not diversity you have disturbed. This is called habitat loss and fragmentation. Because you are making the larger area into smaller bits, the biodiversity also differs from one area to other. Slowly, it is a disturbing factor for the entire concept of biodiversity. Then second part is over-exploitation. If a man is turning, if a need is there, for the need you are converting a forest area into an agriculture area or some cultivable area, whatever it is. But it should not give rise to the greed. Greed has become commercial, need has become a necessity. With the intention of getting more money or more income or make it a commercialized, you are turning more and more forest area, green areas into commercial areas. Automatically the conditions prevailing, the biodiversity prevailing in that area, before you are damaging that area, they are no more same. So in that particular ecosystem or the entire community, the disturbance occurs. Then hunting, you are causing some animals now, you are hunting some animals for your meat, food needs, for the commercial needs, you are hunting. That means the particular species is, the number is getting less. After some more years, it may not be seen at all. What happens to that particular animal in the food chain which where it is connected? What happens? In that food chain, the link is connected. The animal which you are hunting, the link is connected, and the remaining things that side, they are there. There is a huge gap where this animal has to be connected in the link. It is not there. So a diversion occurs in that food chain. That means what has to ultimately happen will not happen. There will be a deviation, and it takes altogether a different mode, and a different thing happens. Original thing is not protected. Then invasion by alien species. That means I told you the example of Parthenium. The Parthenium weed is introduced in an area. It has eaten out all existing small plants, and it has started growing, which is not useful to anybody. In that way also, many species would get extinct. Another area is, there is a water plant called Icornia. This in a it grows on fresh water. Slowly it turns the fresh water into brackish water. The freshwater, entire area surface of the freshwater, you will see only this plant. You will not see water at all. For an outsider who is not knowing that there is a lake existing, when he sees only this particular plant is occupying the entire surface, of water surface, he thinks there is no water, only weed is there, this particular thing is there. If he steps there, he is lost, he is drowned. No, such kind of an impact it will create. It will cause damage to the fish and other marine and other freshwater freshwater population also. Mollusks, fish, these are greatly damaged by this Eichhornia. The third is called lantana, is another example. Lantana, you will find it's a thorny weed. You will find on the both sides of the roads in open areas. You will find this lantana. This also causes similar kind of an effect. When lantana is there, it will not allow any other thing to grow. These are called species which are not there originally, where they are introduced by mistake or voluntarily. You never know. If such thing happens, it eats away some of the species. In that way also, damage causes to the original plant diversity.